Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Pat, and this is Crafty Pat YouTube channel, where I talk about all the crafty things I'm working on. And right now, I have been knitting. If you've watched my last couple of videos, I'm learning to knit, so I'm still in that phase of I want to knit all the things, but I can't knit all the things. And in fact, I've kind of overdone it and having some arm, wrist pain, but trying to take a little break from that. Excuse me, my nose is bothering me today. So today I finished another washcloth. I still need to weave in the ends. This is one that I did just like it, but this one's been washed. So it shrunk a little bit, which is fine, but it softened up. You see it shrunk. But it makes a nice dishcloth. I'm using it as a dishcloth. You could use it as, body base. The pattern, well, first of all, um, the yarn is Peaches and Cream, and I should hold that up there. It is worsted weight cotton. It's approximately 95 yards. This colorway is called color number 14728. I thought it had a name. It's just stripes. Sweet pea stripes. That's what this is called, sweet pea. The pattern I used has knits and purls to make, it's kind of a waffly pattern. The pattern came from yarnspirations.com. They have a lot of free patterns, and this one was for Lily Sugar and Cream, which is similar to Peaches and Cream. I'm not sure what's the difference. Anyway, the pattern was actually for Lily Sugar and Cream Scrub Off, which is part cotton yarn and then part scrubby yarn. But I didn't have any of that, but I had this, and I think it works well. I mean, I'm just going by the pattern. Oh, sorry, my color keeps changing. So that's an FFO that I just finished. I finished a pair of socks. I don't think I finished these the last time I showed you. I had a video. They're just plain vanilla socks. And it's a Patone sock yarn. I don't remember the colorway. I don't have that handy, sorry. So I've struggled with these. I started off with numerous vanilla sock patterns I found online said cast on 64. I did. The sock was way too big. So then I found some information about how to calculate. So I cast on, I think it was 48, and that was way too small. So I did 56. So originally it was 64, went to 56. These are way too big, still too big. I can wear them over another pair of socks. I wear compression socks sometimes. I try to wear them every couple of days. I can wear these over the compression socks and they fit okay. Or a sock liner. If you're ever done much hiking, you can buy sock liners. Otherwise, these do not fit. So I'm not frogging them. I'm just not. I just wear them when I need an extra layer, especially and these are a wool superwash, a wool and some type of acrylic mix. I did top down. I did a 2x2 rib for a couple of inches. And this was self-striping yarn, heel flap and gusset. Kitchener stitched the toe. I've done that enough times. I'm pretty proud of my Kitchener stitch. If you look there, I think it's looking pretty good. This one doesn't look quite as smooth, but it does. It was a learning experience. And like I said, I can wear them in my shoes with another pair of socks. So I'm pretty happy. I've only been knitting a couple of months, and I did these on. Did I do these on DPNs? Yes, I did these on US size 2.5 DPNs. I don't remember what millimeter that is. So I know my gauge may have been a little bigger than a lot of sock patterns, but I'm still struggling with sock math and knitting math. And I'm good at math, but knitting math and these patterns are just really confusing me. I'll get into more of that later. What else am I working on? Okay, those are my only finished things, I think. Oh, I don't think I showed you. I think I showed you this sock before. This is loom knitted. There's ribbing at the top. This is my sock knitting loom. So I just had my little hook here. This is the hook. This is from KB Looms, knittingboard.com. I don't know what brand of this is. It doesn't have the brand on it. But Knitting Board makes one. Some of them are wooden and they're adjustable. And you can see this is my second sock. I've done the ribbing. I've started on the stockinette. I still have a lot to do. But, you know, it's, I have a hard time. Oh, there's cat hair on it, of course. I have a hard time doing this sitting at a table, and it's not as portable as DPNs and needle knitting. And one of the reasons I wanted to learn to knit with needles is the portability. I can stick this in my bag, and if I'm having to wait somewhere, I can knit. Or if I want to go socialize, I can take my knitting. Just realized how crappy my shirt looks. So I have a couple of different options of places I can go and hang out with people who knit and crochet. And this is hard to take, and it's hard to concentrate on when I'm like sitting at a table. But yeah, I'm still working on that other sock. I really need to focus on that and get it done. And that yarn is this. Premier Yarns, Deborah Norville, Serenity Sock Weight. It's kind of old. I don't know how old. The color is called Paprika. It comes 50 grams per ball. I have used not quite one full ball for one sock. I don't know how much more this will get me. I know it's not going to get me a whole nother sock, so I'm doing this. I don't have the book in here with me. I know in my past videos I have put the book. There's a book for loom knitting socks that I got this pattern from. And that book does a good job of explaining how to get the right fit. This fits. It seems to fit comfortably, but if you can see the difference in size? It's that much too big, the one I did on needles. So, like I said, I'm working on that. The other sock I'm working on, I say the other, it's more than one. I'm getting castonitis. I did a pair of slipper socks I showed before, which are worsted weight to wear around the house. They are also a little too big. I did them twice, and the second one is still a little too big. So I'm determined to do these. So I frogged the first pair, and I'll explain this yellow yarn in a moment. I'm doing a second pair, knitting them on the round. These are, it's in the round, obviously, but I'm doing magic loop with circulars. These are US 6. It's 4 millimeter. These are from Likey. They're interchangeable needles, and they twist. I still am struggling with this. Now that I'm getting more comfortable with the DPNs, I realize how much I'm struggling with the magic loop. I feel like I'm constantly fighting with this cable, even though this one is better than the expensive one I had. I still feel like I'm constantly having to adjust and fight, and I'm not comfortable with that. So in a couple days, I plan to go to my local yarn store, and I'm going to see if they have a pair of US 6 DPNs, a set of US 6 DPNs. This is in a This is Vanna's Choice. God, this is not Vanna's Choice. I've forgotten what this is. It's something Lion Brand. It's not Red Heart. They feel soft. So this yellow thread, as you can see, is not completely attached. I want to try to do an afterthought or forethought heel. So I marked it, so that makes it a forethought heel. So I've done top down. I'm about halfway through my foot. And then I watched a few videos, read a few things. Then I want to come back in here and put the heel in at this point. Because I want to try that and see if I like that method better and see if the heel fits me better than the flap and gusset heel. So the toe I'll just finish off like the other ones with the Kitchener stitch, just decreasing at the end and doing the Kitchener stitch. Of course, my nose wants to run now that I'm on screen. But so I'm also working on these. I tend to have lots of projects at one time. Another pair of socks. So I got this sock yarn the Saturday after Thanksgiving here in the US is called Small Business Saturday. And it's in reaction to Black Friday, which are the big corporations have a lot of sales. Small Business Saturday is support your local small businesses. And excuse me. Went to my local yarn shop and got this lovely yarn. And actually, it was on clearance, so I got more of a deal. And you can see it's lots of purple and other colors. I do not know how to say it. Aurora Kana Usaka sock. It's a hand painted superwash wool blend, 75% superwash, 25% polyamide. It is a number 1 superfine. The colorway is ethereal, color 3010. I did not pay $25 for it. I paid a lot less because it was on their clearance rack. It's really soft. And I can tell you, well, this Deborah Norville, this Premier yarn is good. This one feels even softer. And whatever this was, I think it was Patones. And I've washed these. And this one still feels so much softer sitting here holding the two, even though I've washed this one a couple of times. This is so soft. It's been great to work with. So, here's the sock. I'm doing top down again. And I'll tell you more about this adventure in a minute. I tried toe up, and I had a pattern for a toe up sock. And these are number 1, US number 1 DPNs. They're from Likey also. I really like these. They're bamboo, I think. But I like how this is working up. So, yeah, let me show you some other yarn and then I'll get into the whole sock pattern issue. I didn't like doing toe up. And it was ending up way too big again. So I had to frog it anyway. Just see, when you first start doing, you first start your few rounds of DPNs, it's kind of loosey-goosey, a little fiddly. The toe, it just was not getting any better. It was hard for me to handle all that and keep the toe going, and I was really, really struggling. So, but yeah. There's a close-up of it. There we go. I really enjoy it. I'm enjoying these. It's going to take a long time, and that's okay. I think I'm getting about 8 stitches per inch. So while at Small Business Saturday, I also bought this yarn, and it's going to be hard to see it until I'll show you the photo. Look at these are the same color, but one is the blue is wound on the inside, and the other one, the blue, is on the outside. But this is not variegated or self-striping, it fades. It's ombre. It fades from blue into green, into orange, into red. And then there's like this black on the outside. And this yarn is from Gusto Wool, and it's called Echoes. It comes in 2 hanks. I think they're called hanks. My yarn shop did this, caked them for me. They both start at the same. I mean, you can't see it here because they did one backwards and opposite of the other one. I may take it back and ask them to redo it. I didn't think about it at the time. But this one has the same amount of red as this one. They both have the same amount of blue, green, yellow, and they go in the same direction. So you can knit 2 socks. They're going to come out the same. The yarn is recommended US needle 1 to 3. The gauge is 28 to 32 stitches. Machine wash with cold water. Do not bleach. Dry flat. It is 80% merino, 20% nylon. It is super wash, but they still recommend you hand wash it. Well, it says machine wash, I'm sorry. 100 grams total. Made in Turkey. So here is a pattern that you can get from Gusto Wool that is called the Mahala top-down sock. Okay. Yes, I know that says Eartha Yarns. Ignore that for the moment. Actually, I started with this one, the toe-up sock that says designed for Gusto. They also had designed it for Eartha. You can find this on Ravelry. I don't think they're both free. It may be $2. You can go to Gusto Wool or contact your local yard store if you have one, and you can get it for a couple. Mahala means neighborhood in Turkish. This traditional toe-up sock has been knit in Turkish families for generations, taught from the time a child can first manage the 4 to 5 DPNs used. Toe-up socks are perfect to fit the foot length as you knit. The leg can then be as long as you have yarn, so no running out at the end. So this is what I started with. And they have a size chart in here. Checked my gauge. Their recommended gauge was 34 stitches in stockinette, 34 stitches over 4 inches. I got more like 32, maybe 33. See which brand that's probably making a lot of noise. This is the colorway I got. This is what they should look like if I start with the blue at the toe. Aren't those cool? And I think you can see how it just kind of, does that. They have a chart here for sizes. And this is where the sock knitting math went. Just confuses me. Because it says the sock foot circumference is 6 inches for the smallest size. And I tried to stitch this, and then 6.5 for the second. I tried to stitch, my foot circumference is 8 inches. So I thought, okay, if the sock is 6.5, I've got negative ease. Way to go. No, I ended up with a sock that was 8 inches. Also, there are errors in this particular version, so be careful. If you get the one from Gusto Wool, there are errors in it. There are math errors. And excuse me, I keep covering up my microphone, because it says things like, you're working, I don't know, where it was confusing. It was confusing, and now I can't find and like I said, I checked my gauge. I was getting 8 per inch. And then they're like, well, you're going to end up with 64 once you do the toe up. Once you get up, you've finished the toe, you've done all your increases. I didn't like doing all those increases either. I can decrease a lot better than I can increase. The increases were make one right, make one left. And also it was like you put most of your stitches on 2 needles, and then the 2 side needles only have 2 stitches each. And those needles kept slipping out, and I kept having to fight with it. And it was just like I got to a certain point and realized this is gonna be too big, so I quit increasing, and it was still too big because if I'm getting 8 stitches per inch and I do 64 stitches in the round, that's 8 inches circumference. It's not 6 inches circumference, which they say the sock's gonna be. I just keep going over it in my head going, I'm pretty good at doing multiplication. I learned them a long, long time ago, and I use my multiplication tables on a regular basis. I don't always have a calculator. I don't always use a calculator. I know 8 by 8 is 64. And 64 divided by 8 is 8. So if I'm doing 8 stitches per inch and I do 64 stitches, I'm going to get 8 inches. There's no negative ease on my foot. And they're telling me, oh, you're going to get 6 inches. If somebody can explain to me the secret here, because this is superwash, it shouldn't shrink, right? What am I doing wrong? What am I not realizing about knitting math? Is it, I just am. So I quit the toe up. And that's when because I found this Mahala top down. This was free on Ravelry from Yurtha Yarns. If you just search for Mahala, Mahale, you will find the sock patterns. And the math still is not mathing for me. I'm just saying, I don't know. So at this point, I said, I'm trying it out on this one. I'm doing top down. I did cast on 64 here because this is around my calf, and I want it up higher on my leg. So I did my best to try it on with DPNs. It fits. At some point on my ankle, though, I've got to decrease because this is 8 inches in the rim. This is 4 inches across here. So at some point before I get to my ankle, I've got to start decreasing. And my foot this is, like I said, I can slip this on my foot. And even if I don't pull it up over my ankle, this 64 stitches is too much. And like I said, my foot is 8 inches in diameter. So I need the sock to be less. My sock should have, it should stretch a little bit to be on my foot and stay on my foot. But I am enjoying that. And then, like I said, then once I get that figured out, I'm going to do these in the bright colors. I'm excited about that. When I knew for a long time I was going to want to learn to knit, and I was like, really, okay, if I'm going to learn to knit, one of the first videos I watched was knitting these socks. Sorry, and the slipper socks. I thought, well, I really would love to knit socks. I have lots of socks, but I like funky socks. I like odd colors. No one ever sees them really, but it makes me happy. So I had this epiphany a few weeks ago when I'm standing in the yarn store and went, I can knit purple socks. I can knit any color I want, pretty much. Purple's not my favorite color. Blue is. But look, I can knit this that has purple and blue and pink and yellow. And look at these colors. I'm so happy. I don't know if it's showing up on the screen as bright as they are. They're rather neon. I also got another set of the Gusto wool yarn in this colorway. And it is called, let me get the little, I know I'm going to may regret pulling this out, but I can't remember the colorway. This is like an autumn color, but it has a touch of green in it. They have another one that doesn't have the green. This one is color 1517. It is called, the whole line is called Echoes. I thought the yarn itself had a name. The kind of rainbow one is 1505. This one's 1517. I'm sorry, I thought it had a name. They're both called Echoes. But I thought this one had a name, and I don't see it now. I think on one of these patterns they may show an example of that yarn. Oh, not that one. Okay. I don't know what I did with my other pattern. Yeah, okay. Sorry, I'm losing things while sitting here at my table. Here we go. Let's see. Not that one. No, there's not a color on here. If you go on their website, if you go on Gusto Yarn, you'll see the different colorways. And yeah, they just go by number. So there's 1505 and 1517. Oh, I thought that was 1503. Maybe not. Okay. They have, I don't know, a dozen or so different colorways that are these ombre, where it's not self-striping, it's an ombre. And again, you get two 50-ounce hanks. I keep saying hanks, maybe they're skeins. I don't know. They're not like this. You get two 50-ounce amounts that have the same length of brown to green and in the same order. And then this frame is actually on the inside of here. So I don't know if I'm going to make socks out of these or make a hat and a pair of fingerless mitts. They also have a hat pattern and fingerless mitts pattern. And again, they're only a few dollars, or you can use your favorite hat pattern. But I think this would look really good in a hat pattern and fingerless mitts. And they show you, like I said, if you look on the Gusto Wool website, you'll see that. So those were originally $19 per set. So you get enough for a pair of almost knee-high, depending on the size of your foot and length of your leg, almost knee-high socks for $19. At least that's what that was, suggested retail. Very soft yarn, again, superwash merino with nylon and 80% merino wool. GustoWool.com. These are hand dyed, and they're so soft. I can't wait to work with them. But I want to finish the other pair first. I want to finish this one first and get the math straight in my head of how many to cast on, when to increase, decrease, what type of heel I want to do, all that sort of thing. So that's what I've been up to. Holiday season is coming up. I don't have any big plans. One of the groups I meet with will not be meeting after this coming week because of holiday traffic and plans that people have. We meet in a very busy shopping area, and we all just went, after about the 15th of December, we don't want to be there because it's right by a major interstate and it's a really busy road any time of the day or night. And when it's holiday season, it's just a nightmare there because it's near like I said, it's a shopping hub and the interstate, and it's a lot. I live in a suburb of Atlanta that if you've been to the Atlanta area, you know that we've sprawled so far, and all the suburbs are just, it can be gridlock any time of the day or night. You just never know. And being next to the interstate, if the interstate gets blocked, everybody exits trying to get around it, and people are stopping. If they're traveling, they're stopping to, use the restroom, get something to eat, gas up, whatever. And it gets to be a nightmare. So anyway, So I haven't been cross stitching, and I need to get back to that because I need to take a break from the knitting because I am starting to hurt my wrist. This elbow hurts some, but this wrist, I dislocated my wrist earlier this year and had to have surgery. And while it's healed, I don't know if the cold weather is making it hurt a little bit more. I think mainly just overuse, that I'm sitting there doing the same motion over and over, and I need to stop doing that. I need to take more breaks because it hurts up in here in my thumb. You can see my scar, and here it hurts. Sometimes it hurts down into here, and so I need to quit doing that. The other place I hang out sometimes, I've gone only a couple of times, is local senior center. One morning each week, they have crochet and knit. It's not really a class. I think there may be, I mean, people kind of help each other. So there are some beginners, especially crocheters. There's only one other person who's knitting that I've seen knitting. And he said, it's a man. And he said, I'm the only one who knits. Um, and uh, there are a lot of beginner crocheters. I've been crocheting 8 or 9 years now. Uh, I haven't done anything real fancy, but pretty good at it. Uh, and I've done some afghans, a few little amigurumi, and what have I done? Some little flowers. Um, Fun times. It's a way to get out of the house, be around other people. A local yarn shop, they're always open to people just coming in and sitting down. They have comfortable chairs. Love for you to come in and sit down and chit chat. It's a completely different age group than the senior center. There are some people there barely out of high school and 20s, 30s, 40s. I'm probably the oldest. Well, I'm the oldest I've met so far, except for one other woman, and that we're both in our 60s. But it's a fun, exciting group. It's interesting, and people bring whatever they're working on: knit, crochet, cross stitch, mending. It's and everybody helps each other. They do offer some introductory classes for knitting and crochet, but they're also willing to help people there, and they have not just yarn, but they also have some cross stitch supplies. So, and some kits, and they have a lot of beginner crochet kits. They are trying to make sure they have a wide audience. So they're very welcoming to beginners, and like I said, to all age groups and crocheters as well as knitters. I've heard rumors that some yarn shops are a little not welcoming to younger people and not welcoming to crocheters and not welcoming to men. And they are doing everything, they just naturally aren't that way. I mean, I've met the owners, and that's just not who they are. They're like, anyone can knit or crochet any age. We just, behave yourself, and you're welcome to be here. And, we're here for the yarn. So they also have a couple of planned stitching times throughout the week. But again, also they're like, you just need to get out of the house, come over and sit and hang out. That's why they made a community center, and I'm so happy about that on so many levels, that they are encouraging everyone. They're trying to they're getting connected to middle school or high school that is trying to start up a fiber arts program, so that to see how they can assist with that, to encourage the teenagers to learn. And they have some books. Like I said, they have a lot of amigurumi kits of different types, and I'm just thrilled with them. Um, I'm not going to mention their name right now because I'm just not ready to do that and identify where I am, even though some of the pictures behind me, if you were from where I am, you'll recognize some of the photos behind me, if you've been to this area. But I, I just can't say enough about them. I hope that there are a lot of yarn shops out there like this. Watching other people on YouTube, I think there are. I think there's starting to be more and more yarn shops and craft stores who are trying to be the center of a community and being open about the community to include everyone, to include the beginners, include the experienced people, all genders, all ages, um, all, yeah. And somebody 25, I just started knitting a couple months ago. Somebody who's 20 may have more knitting experience than I do. That's fine. And we need to encourage that. I'm kind of on a soapbox now of we need to encourage that and let people knit and crochet and cross stitch what they want. That, as I keep telling people, this is not your grandma's cross stitch or yarn store or yarn world. This is not great grandma crochet and doilies. But if you want to crochet doilies, people can help you out. But there's also, people are doing a lot of, whatever fandom they're in, Star Trek or Star Wars or Marvel Comics. I saw a book that was The Muppets, Pokemon. It's whatever you like, or you want to do it as a gift for someone who that's what they like. Not just children, but adults like those things. A lot of people are into I can't think of the word for it. Here in Atlanta, there's Dragon Con, where people dress up and, make their own costumes. So again, I think we need creativity. People need an outlet for creativity, and we need to encourage creativity and all ages. And like I said, and we should encourage older people too, that you can still learn. You can still learn. Maybe you didn't learn. I didn't learn to knit as a child, but I'm learning now. I want to learn more. I know I have a lot more to learn. That doing a few dishcloths is just barely scratching the surface. But like I said, I see at the senior center, there's a lot of ladies there who are going, "Hey, I want to crochet. I remember Grandma crocheting, and she tried to teach me, but I couldn't. I didn't want to learn back then. I forgot." We can still learn. There's a pattern out there for everybody. So, and hopefully, we can go on the internet and you can find YouTube videos that are tutorials. I don't do tutorials myself, but I did a few about quilting and some other slow stitch, but I'm not going to do quilting. I mean, knitting. I don't plan to do knitting and crochet tutorials. So I've talked a lot longer than I planned. So I'll probably try to hop on by the end of the month. Today is December 7th, 2025. I'm not sure. At some point at the end of the month, I'll be out of town for a couple of days, but hopefully by the end of the month, I'll have figured out knitting sock math. That ask at the yarn store next week, and with my other yarn group of, please somebody check my math and tell me, am I not measuring something right? Am I not calculating right? I'm just baffled because I am good at math. Just can't get my socks to fit. And I have now knitted 1, 2, 3 pairs of socks, and none of them fit the way I want them to. And that makes me sad, but I'm not giving up. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep going. And hopefully in a couple weeks, I may have at least a slipper sock that fits, or at least one sock of some type that fits. So, and I will update you on that. And I hope everyone has a safe and pleasant December. whatever holidays you may celebrate, or, even if you don't celebrate holidays. I know it's a tough time of year for a lot of people. Solstice is coming up in a few weeks. Here in Georgia, it's dark and gray and cold, and it's supposed to get colder next week, at least cold for us, okay? Understand, below freezing, we're not a happy group down here in the South. Uh, I'm happy as long as I get to stay in my house, but anyway, we weren't built for this. Some of us feel like we weren't. And then in the summer, of course, I complain about the heat, but it's really gray and overcast again today. I think we're supposed to have rain again later. We have been in drought conditions most of this year. And then we have the new year. So I hope everyone stays safe. If you're traveling, stay safe. And I will try to post something in another couple of weeks. Actually, 2 weeks from now will be December 21st. It'll be the solstice. So I will talk to everyone later. Please give me a thumbs up. Click the subscribe and notifications button to see what I post next. Leave me a comment below, especially if you understand knit sock math. I would greatly appreciate it. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.